The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
And here's your host, Arthur Boyle, filling in for Paul Solano, who's doing a Major League cookout this weekend. And he has a granddaughter on the way, or two granddaughters, two separate children. So he's a busy guy. And we call him the busiest guy in America anyway, because he's got businesses and non-profits and things that he's amazing. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy 5th, Arthur. Nice to see you today.
Yeah, that's what they said. Mickey Mantle, when he played for the Yankees, his favorite inning was the bottom of the 5th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's no good if you're not even an old Yankees fan.
Yeah, we're in Red Sox Nation. I don't know why we're talking about the Yankees right now, but that's okay.
Well,
I'll let it go.
We want to welcome on Paul's behalf Northeastern Fence in Saugus. And they are fences for your kids, for your dogs, and for your ugly neighbors. And Paul said that's true, that one of his clients has an ugly neighbor, and he got to fill in the... Anyway.
Maybe they're beautiful on the inside.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to get Paul mad at you, you really have to do something. We have guests in the studio today, too, and we're... I'll do them in order of relationship. We have Dave Boyle, who is the chairman of the school committee in Pembroke, and is my brother, and was the former speaker at the Springfield College. What do we call those?
Commencement. Springfield College Commencement 2025.
Yeah, that was very impressive, and it's a kick, and it's still available on YouTube. I understand that people can still look it up.
I actually did not know it trended, and people were telling me the amount of likes and bragging a little. I heard from people as far away as Alaska.
Yeah, I was going to say that
Springfield College alums.
I made a note yesterday that there was a listener in Alaska that took it to heart. And do you have one highlight from it?
It's actually, it's kind of funny, and it's a local. It'll tie in. I was at Cumberland Farms, Bryantville Center, right by Pembroke Pizza Kitchen there, your friend's place. And I was in line, and one of the things I had said in the speech is I tried to do one nice thing in honor of my late wife, Karen, every day. Guy behind me, couldn't left his wallet, whatever. Long story short, I bought him a cup of coffee. Well, there was a sergeant from Hanson. And he walks over and he says, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And I'm thinking to myself, am I illegally parked in Bryantville Center? Because you're on the Hanson line. And the gentleman says to me, he goes, "You were the speaker at Springfield College Commencement." So I'm saying to myself, how would a police officer from Hanson know that? He goes, "I was in the audience." He goes, "My daughter graduated this year." He said, "And you really walk the walk." He said, "I just saw you buy a guy a cup of coffee." And it was part of my speech. I said, buy someone a cup of coffee someday that's not expecting it. They're going to, one, look at you like you're crazy, but they're going to smile.
Mm-hmm. They're going to take the coffee for free.
Of course they are. I mean, who wouldn't? But, yeah, so that was, kind of a fun one. And then I did say, and I'm sort of kind of dominating the time, I think I'd given a check to a kid in an anonymous seat, whatever, and a woman comes across the parking lot, and she says, "Mr. Boyle, you don't know me." She says, "But you made my son's day." So I said, "Oh, you must be the Luke's mother that I wrote the check to." And she goes, "No." And I'm saying to myself, okay, 400 kids, 10,000 people. I said, I'm stumped. Like, I said, "How did I make your son's day today?" She goes, "My son sang the national anthem." She goes, "And you gave him a shout out in front of 10,000 people saying how you've worked all these concerts and games and events. But it was one of the best national anthems you ever heard."
He sang it like it was supposed to be sung.
Exactly. And he sang it a cappella. That's a tough thing to do in a place, the Springfield Civic Center holds about 10,000 people. And I'm not going to say Springfield College isn't exactly known for our singers and our dancers. We're kind of known for our coaches, our athletes, and, that type of stuff. But the mother was thrilled. absolutely could not have been happier. But again, the thing is, and again, I kind of follow up. I've been asked to speak at a thing in Macon, Georgia, in September. Another Springfield College person asked me if I'd come down. Sure. So a side hustle that I probably won't make any money on that I really don't care. But
so let's talk honorariums.
Yeah. No,
that was easy for me to say.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it because I couldn't. But hey, I don't want to dominate the time. I'll let you introduce your other guests. They're the important ones.
Another guest, and he's an important one. He's one of my favorite people in Pembroke. Because he walks the walk too. He gets involved and doesn't throw advice out without being able to back it up. And he's a good guy all around. And he's involved in the Chamber of Commerce. We'll let you he'll tell you about his business. But he's Fraser Townley, and we want to say good afternoon and welcome to WATD.
Thank you very much, Arthur. And
you have your son here, too, as well.
I do. Elliot's here. Say hello. Hello. There you go. He's on the radio. Good
there
job.
You go.
We'll record that for his mother.
Yeah. Actually, you can say hello one more time. I didn't have his mic on. Go ahead, Elliot.
Hello.
Much better.
Thank you.
Attaboy, Tim. You're right on top of things.
What was the, was it, who were the fence people? Who were fencing in? The Ugly Neighbours. I think I'm going to add that to my resume as well. Ugly Neighbour.
Yeah, it'll get their attention, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's say, what do you do with the Chamber? What do you do in business, in real life? And
well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do when I grow up. But for the Chamber, I joined the Chamber. Actually, I ran for Select Board in 2023, and it was a little bit, I wouldn't say arrogant, but it was the first thing I actually did for the town, albeit I moved here in 2002. And I sat down and I was talking to Peter Brown, and Peter Brown told me his vision for the Chamber, and I was like, that's exactly what I've been saying for my vision for the town, but going through the Select Board route. So I just figured I'll throw myself at the Chamber as a good way to affect change and, well, actually not necessarily affect change, but just support the town.
You're talking about changes in business and how we do business as a town, and that simple, reach out to the businesses and they will come. Is that?
Well, so we are doing that, obviously, but then I created a format for, I say I created, it sounds like me, it's nothing at all. But we created a format for the forum, for the candidates forum, and the first time we did that was the Dan Trabucco, John Brown round for the Select Board. It was fun to do, it was fun to watch, and so I said to Peter, I can't wait 12 months to go back on the air. So that's the birth of the forums. So the Infrastructure Forum was the first one we did last September, and I believe that was well received also. We provided a lot of data, a lot of information about roads and water and housing to the public. We want to keep doing that. We want to keep pushing the forum format. But what we've done is we're and this is news, we have done a deal with Local Scene, and we're going to use their studios and create round table forums. So we'll have one per month leading up to Christmas, starting in September, where we will discuss infrastructure, workforce. David, you've agreed to be a guest on our workforce forum. But also we're going to do spotlights, and this will be a podcast where we'll have two guests talking about whatever the subject is that we're going to create. I'll host those. It's not moderating, it's hosting. And those we'll be putting on podcast platforms like the Apple Podcast, Spotify. They'll go on YouTube, they'll go on Facebook and what have you. But we're trying to get information out. We're trying to correct people's misunderstanding of what's going on. We saw a lot of it leading up to various elections. There's a lot of misinformation, which is normal. It's an election. But personally, we would prefer that people were informed. And that's what it's all about, really.
Well, we'll inform them right after we take this break and pay some of the bills. But it's a very interesting topic and interesting answers. So we'll be back in just a minute.
Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal LLC and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision. Happy to work for you. Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
A reminder from Crystal Clear Pools in Kingston. Pools can be fun and a relief from summer's heat, but they can also be a safety concern. Crystal Clear Pools offers safety tips including don't swim alone, don't dive into unfamiliar waters, have automatic locks on all gates and points of access, know where all your safety equipment is located and know how to use it, know where the nearest telephone is in case of emergency, and always keep your pool clean and sanitized. For other safety tips and quality pool products, stop by and see us on Route 27 in Kingston, Crystal Clear Pools, 781-585-7665. Be safe this season.
Five-time Hall of Fame inductee President Dave Caiazzo from the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Zavarian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Caiazzo at davekaipitching@gmail.com for more ticket information. Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were three deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email Mike at northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
And once again, this is Arthur Boyle filling in for Paul Solano, who is the busiest man in America, we call him, and that's because he is. He incidentally just said, talking to my brother David here, he had a piece about Dave Caiazzo, who was an all-American everything baseball player when we were kids. And he lived not too far from us. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you to this day, I could swear to this day that I couldn't hit his curveball with a canoe paddle. But,
I used to remember seeing guys jump out of the batter's box when I was a kid, probably 8 or 10, and he would throw this curveball, and guys would, like, jump, and the catcher wouldn't move. And you could see the guy looking like, I thought that was going to hit me.
Yeah, he was in the first Hall of Fame class at Malden High.
Yeah.
The chamber, not the chamber, the help me out here with the Golden Tornado Club.
Golden Tornado Club, yeah, sure. Do we have one of those in Pembroke? Do we have a Hall of Fame here?
We do not, that I'm aware of anyway.
Okay. I'll have to talk to Brian Phillips, the athletic director, about that. Maybe we have to start a Pembroke Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, the school system is 20 years old now, so
Yeah.
you got some history to draw on.
We've actually had some good. We just had a great year with soccer. We've had women's tennis last year, or ladies tennis, girls tennis, whatever. Had a great year last year. We've had a track and field program, second to none for. I think there was like 120 kids on the track team this year. That's amazing.
That's 1/5 of the school.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to talk to Brian Phillips about that. I'll have to check.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we're going to talk to our guest.
Please.
I think I'm going to nominate Elliot, actually, he ran varsity for Riverview School.
That's I could go. Depends on who's chasing me, how fast I can run.
Not anymore.
It would depend on that.
Yeah, it's a young man's sport.
Yes.
So we're back to Fraser Townley,
The old
who
man.
is, he's the old man in the crew. Well, actually, I'm the old man in the crew. To tell you the truth, it's.
You're not so old, Arthur, and you're looking good these days.
Yeah, these days I'm looking better than I was a few months ago.
You certainly are. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. That's nice. It's a good feeling.
It beats the alternative.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So your real business, your regular business, day to day, involves.
So I'm a bit of an inventor. So I've got several patents that we've applied to product that we're selling to other companies. We've been selling product to Apple stores for the longest time. But I'm also a retailer at heart, believe it or not. So I spend a lot of my time actually in Las Vegas.
That's
currently.
hard to take.
Yeah, it's very tough. Actually, I'm on the other side of the airport, so there's nothing happening there. I'll give you an example. I went out for dinner the other night to a place called Dottie's. And the bill, I had 2 beers, I had a grilled cheese sandwich and a side of fries. The bill came to $9.60. The next night, I'm in the airport, I have pretty much the same meal, and the bill's $70.
Yeah.
And I said to the guy,
Ouch.
I paid so much less than this last night. And I showed him the bill, and he went, "Oh my God, you went to Dottie's? What are you thinking?" So anyhow, it's not the glamorous life. But I advise a company there, a retailer there, a national retailer, on just how they merchandise things and branding and stuff like that. So that's really in my heart, marketing and retail. That stumped you.
Well, let's see. We're talking about your position with the Chamber of Commerce as well.
Yes.
So, let's get back to that a little bit.
It's not just the chamber. I'm the clerk on the bylaws committee in town. Also the affordable housing committee. I'm the clerk for that committee.
Have you been involved at all in the additional dwelling unit legislation?
I haven't actually been involved in that, but we've been talking about that. So there was a bylaw that came up that we reviewed before that went to town. And it's, of course, important to the Affordable Housing Committee that bylaw or that change from the state was introduced. And I think it's good. I think it's good for our community, and it's good for creating more affordable housing units in the town.
Now, it allows you to convert, like, the garage space, the living space above the garage.
So what, in truth, prior to the change that was introduced by the states February the 6th of this year, if you wanted to have an ADU, it had to be connected to the property. It couldn't be more than 800 square feet, and it could only be used or let to a blood relative. What's changed is it doesn't have to be connected to the unit. It doesn't have to be rented to a blood relative. and it can be now 900 square foot or 50% of the master dwelling. And I think there was one other. Move on.
How do the septic rules apply?
Well, so you can tie into your existing septic if it'll be tested, and if the current septic system can cope with that. But if not, then a secondary septic system has to be created.
So you're not taking a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom septic system and automatically turning it into one additional unit if they don't do some other work to make it so that it becomes a legal unit.
So I need to understand what you're trying to ask there, because I want to get the answer correct.
This doesn't have anything understanding with this British thing.
Yes. Yes. No, I didn't appreciate that, Arthur.
So you've got a single-family house with 3 bedrooms,
yes,
and you've got a detached garage,
okay,
with enough room for 1 bedroom. So you have a total house now capacity
of 4 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms.
Correct.
Now you have to measure up to the 4-bedroom.
Correct.
Right.
I understand now what you're saying. Yes.
Okay, so you don't have to, you don't have to fail them because they're inadequate septic system. Is a word.
The septic system has to be adequate for the 4 bedrooms,
okay,
of course.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what worries me so much, is the state being involved, and it seems to make sense at the time.
Well, so the state, they made their statement, and they've created this opportunity. The town have done some pretty smart things. Andy Wandell, in particular, he understands what the town can cope with, and he will govern this well, I'm sure. Plus the other folks in town hall. I believe there is a right, but we've also built into the bylaw an opportunity to bend the rules just a little bit to be more flexible to homeowners.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems logical on the surface, and I don't know that.
But there's a lot of technicalities, and this is not my area of expertise by any stretch, but I know you can only have a septic like so far back from the street and so far over from here, and
absolutely there's setbacks, and there's.
We live in the Bryantville section. I always tell people, if you knew Bryantville, it was basically all little summer cottages and homes. And when we grew up on the lake, I think the number was 68 homes on the lake, and there was 60 summer homes.
Yeah,
our house growing up didn't have heat.
Right,
we didn't have a phone. I joke we didn't have a shower. We had a bathroom, but that was it.
Yeah.
And now, when things started in the 70s and people were moving out of Boston, they started converting these little cottages into full-size places. So they said, you come down to Little Sandy where we are, I always joke, you can pass the salt out the window to your neighbor. And just, here you go.
So that area that you're talking about, that is outside of what the town have put all sorts of new, so your plot has to be an acre. You've got to have 150 foot of frontage.
That
makes
a lot of sense.
So when we look at Pembroke, the greater Pembroke, it is a different set of rules. And those rules, in actual fact, again, Andy has driven to change those rules, because we actually only have 400 acres in the whole of Pembroke that are undeveloped, that are developable. That's a big mouthful.
Yeah.
400 acres, if you're 1 acre per property, means we only have space for 400 more homes. But it's actually less than that, because you've got to add the infrastructure, the roads, and what have you, setbacks, and it's actually about 250. So the town has looked at introducing a half acre, which is probably still more land than you're talking about in the
Oh, heavens, yes. Yeah.
But
postage stamps.
If you did that, you can add 500 more homes. And that's the only way Pembroke's going to grow, is to have more people living in Pembroke and more businesses in Pembroke.
Do we have a self-defeating prophecy coming? And if we do that, that being create smaller lots and you're using up water and septic space when you do it.
So, I'm not the expert, but I mean, from a water treatment point of view, that has to be considered. We don't have to be a septic. You can create water treatment plants for groups of homes. There's one that's just sprung up on Congress Street where none of those properties are on an acre of land. Do you know where on the 14 and 53?
Yeah. Yep.
Great little development, and it's just around the corner from me. I mean, I walk past it to get to Mary Lou's. There was a lot of the local people were objecting to that, and it's going to affect the traffic, it's going to water runoffs and drainage and blah, blah, blah. It was all dealt with.
Well, I think a lot of people look just being on the school committee. We get a thing about people talking about influx, into the community, and can we handle the people? Technically, the schools can't. Our enrollment is down. So
I agree with you.
We can take it, but people say the stress on the police, on the fire. Now, again, we're getting a new police station, fire station, emergency services building. I think if you look what the rec center has done, I would like to find all those people that were so against the rec center and have them kind of look me in the eye and tell me that it was a bad thing.
It's a great thing.
Lance Kennedy's done an amazing job down there, him and his staff.
And the farmers market is it's a great event every Saturday.
Big win.
Look, I think the community center, and there's other developments that are springing up that the greater public may not be aware of, but we're going to get a development. Jim Bristol's putting in, he's bought the Shepherd's Funeral Home.
Right.
He's putting in 62 affordable housing units there. And I've got to be careful. When I say affordable housing, it means it's housing that's affordable. It's not under an umbrella that's a political umbrella. So he's putting in units that people can afford to buy, but he's also adding a tavern. So that's going to be a great, for the center of Pembroke, it's going to be a huge pull.
What do they consider affordable in Pembroke?
It's ridiculous.
Well, as I said, I hate to say it. I think we told the story of Arthur's house when my dad bought it back in the 40s or 50s. He paid $1,000.
Yeah.
For both sides of the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's different. I mean, I know when I bought my property down here in '96, it was $76,000, I want to say. We
it was
paid.
Something like that.
Yeah, $76,000. Now, I mean, North Pembroke's $1 million homes and change. Canoe Lane or whatever off of Washington there.
I think the average. Here's a stat, and we pulled this up for the infrastructure forum. Prior to COVID, the average house price in Pembroke was $415,000.
Oh my God.
Now, last year, the average was $615,000. So that's a 50% increase. Yep. But $615,000 is the average price for a home in Pembroke. That is not affordable.
Well, it's just you say, look at young kids. Elliot's not that old, and how does the kid do it now, coming out of school at 23, 24? Even you settle down and you get married at 30.
I talk about the tough times growing up. I didn't have heating in my house. We definitely didn't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We certainly didn't have 2 cars. But now I look at I call that hardship.
Yeah.
However, it is tough today.
Yeah.
It is tough, and I do see how it's impossible. I sometimes think the youth of today have kind of given up trying to better what their parents have achieved, and that's what's causing the apathy that we see or that we perceive. I don't know if we see it, but we definitely perceive it.
Yeah, well, I see it in the workforce. I tell people I'm fortunate to be in the wine and spirits business, recession-proof. It's never going to be out of work. And it used to be a lifetime job. Yeah. And we'll get kids that come in at, 23, 24, 25, and by 30 they want to go do something else. And I'm saying to myself, why would you give up a guaranteed job kind of for life? And I guess to take the chance and the risk and
David,
good luck to them.
I've got to tell you, it's shifting. I only shop at the local, so I get my wines and spirits at the Pembroke liquor store in town. I was chatting to them, so we've got something else that we want to talk about perhaps after the break. That the Chamber are looking to drive, and I was speaking to them about hey, maybe you want to get involved and so on and so forth, and they said even that industry, the wine and liquor industry, has changed since COVID. the vendors are looking to support the bigger brands. They're not looking at supporting local people. They now know they don't have to do free tasters because people are buying it anyway.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, are we up against the break or are we okay?
We're all right as far as breaks go.
Well, again,
Can we hit one more, Jim? Let's do that, and we'll come back and wrap up.
South Street Diner, located at 178 Nealon Street, Boston, is Boston's only all-night dining destination, open 7 nights a week for late-night eats. Yep, that's 24/7 in my book. Owner Saul Seidel has grown this former iconic Blue Diner to be the place to go for keeping the party going or filling your stomachs before you head home to the South Shore or the Cape and the Islands and listen to WATD along the way home. Ask Saul about his grandmother's banana bread recipe, the Boston cream pancakes, umpteen eggs Benny offerings, and tell him that Paul Ponders sent you. Attention WATD listeners, don't leave any money on the table. Call Performance Appraisal LLC and appraiser Arthur Boyle and Associates. Arthur may be reached at 781-293-6900 or Boyle6900 at AOL.com. Since 1994, Performance has developed many niche services ranging from appraising single-family homes to providing expert witness testimony. Again, call our own Arthur Boyle at 781-293-6900.
Have you tried Brianville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you.
A reminder from Crystal Clear Pools in Kingston. Pools can be fun and a relief from summer's heat, but they can also be a safety concern. Crystal Clear Pools offers safety tips including don't swim alone, don't dive into unfamiliar waters, have automatic locks on all gates and points of access, know where all your safety equipment is located and know how to use it, know where the nearest telephone is in case of emergency, and always keep your pool clean and sanitized. For other safety tips and quality pool products, stop by and see us on Route 27 in Kingston, Crystal Clear Pools, 781-585-7665. Be safe this season.
5-time Hall of Fame inductee President Dave Caiazzo from the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Zavarian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Caiazzo at davecai.pitching@gmail.com for more ticket information. Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were 3 deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email mike@northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
And once again, it's Arthur Boyle filling in for Paul Solano. Paul is on a cookout spree this weekend, and he'll come back looking tan, rested, and ready like Richard Nixon.
Well, I was going to talk with Fraser and mention we were talking about, the alcohol industry and how things have changed and how the career. And basically,
we've got about 4 minutes to do it.
Nope,
so.
it's actually a pretty quick point. And Ellie kind of giggled over in the corner, and I give you full credit. What used to be, if you had a kid, and again, we just use $100 for a round number for the weekend, a lot of those kids would be buying their 12 packs of beer or their 30 packs of beer or whatever it happened to be. We now have studies, whether it's Mass Restaurant Association, National Restaurant Association, that kid's taking that $100 and they're going to spend $50 on wine, spirits, alcohol, whatever, LBW as we call the business. But now they're going to put another like $20 or $30 towards gummies and edibles. And then they put the other 20 or 30 towards like DraftKings and sports betting and stuff like that. So we're seeing, like the talk that Holly mentioned, the thing, that's the shift.
Yeah.
And, Pembroke, to me, we don't see the effects usually of FanDuel.
No.
DraftKings, we'll get some lottery money if someone, plays a scratch ticket or a Keno. But that money's going out of state or out of town.
Exactly. So. And, Arthur, can I step in? And
yes, you may.
Let me share with everybody else why you and I, David, have been talking about alcohol. So the Chamber wants to, I don't know if it's called a reintroduction, but we're definitely focused on doing a Taste of Pembroke next year in 2026. So we've already started talking to the local establishments, and it was Pembroke Liquor who said, look, these have changed. But we've now, as a town, we've agreed that we can drink on public property. And of course, we're not promoting drinking in every... but we have a fantastic community centre, and that community centre has a wonderful kitchen. We should be taking advantage of that, and we should. So the Taste of Pembroke this time round, we will hope to have tastings of cocktails and stuff like that, as well as the food tasting.
I think I know somebody who can help you.
Yeah, well, thank you, David. I've already signed you up.
Happy to do it.
You'll both do well, I'm sure. We have about a minute to play.
3.
Oh, 3 minutes. Tim is controlling the equipment, so he gets to make the decision. I wanted to just run by you, just for a quick comment. The world we know it has gone crazy the last few months, and you've got people that are state representatives or state legislators being shot at their front door. Where does it all end?
I don't know when it's going to end, Arthur. That's the $1 million question. It's not right. It shouldn't be happening. It's the way of the world. It's not just in America. It's far worse in a lot of the third world countries, obviously, but it's been a way of life in Europe since as long as I can remember. But there's definitely a lot of calming down required.
Dave, you agree with that?
100%. I mean, I think, we were talking earlier before we came on the air. There's no respect anymore for other people's opinions.
No.
You can't find that middle ground right now with anyone. When we try to brand somebody left, right, liberal, conservative, whatever, it shouldn't get to the point, I hate to say it, where someone, I tell people, I'm on the school committee, I don't get paid to do that job. And I think selectmen in town get, $100 a year or something? I mean, you're not doing it. You're doing it because we joked about being the politician versus statesman.
Yep.
I said the politician cares about himself. The statesman cares about his constituency. I like to think I'm a statesman. I like to sit there and say, I'm trying to do what's best.
I think you are a statesman, and with that, we're going to wrap it up.
Thanks, big brother.
We've got the
thank you, Arthur.
The legend coming in to 1 o'clock to play oldies for the next 5 hours or so, and he is Ron Dwyer, the legend, the grand poobah of oldies rock and roll, and we'll hope to see him in a little bit. So have a safe weekend. Be careful driving, and Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you.